It's time for breakfast. A bacon and cheese omelet with toast. Yum.
Yum, yum.
Hello everybody. It's been a while since I did a video on my truck. This is the sample fender, if you remember from a previous video where I had it taped off in the different areas. You can probably see it's wet. We're in the beginning of a tropical depression. It's going to be raining soon. So yeah, it's wet. But you see how shiny that is? I think that looks pretty good. This is just a sample fender. As you can see, it's damaged. It's got a couple of dings on it. So that looks nice. Okay, over here I've been working on, built me a little paint thing. I got to put some end walls on it because stuff keeps getting in here. Ignore this. This is drippage from up there. But this is Rust Oleum paint. I got a heavy spot here. You can see a repair I made here. So this is going to end up getting, this is my hood. It's going to end up getting wet sanded. I don't know if I'm going to put another coat of paint on it or not. I might clear coat it instead, but it doesn't look too bad. Got a lot of orange peel in it. And then over here is the fender. I think this fender turned out pretty good. Better than the other one. The other one I painted kind of grainy, so I think I'm going to wet sand it and definitely put another coat of paint on it, because this one looks a lot better, as you can see. A little orange peely. Got a bug or two in it, but it looks nice. Now, my truck is in a bit of disarray. As you can tell, I've taken the bumper off, taken the headlights out. I painted all this to make it look better. It was pretty rusty. I painted the top edge. This is a hood from my old car. And what I did was I came back here and I used bed liner and sprayed the back of this. This is where the battery compartment was, and I don't know if you could tell, but it was really rusted. So I kind of wire wheeled it and sprayed that bed liner spray on it to help protect it. I took the fender wells out and I painted the firewall. And I don't know if you can see it, but I painted the breather cap under there to make it look pretty under the hood. I have not done anything else to the rest of the truck. You can see the hood, the roof is really rusty. Here are the fender wells. I took those out and scrubbed them clean, and I've sprayed bed liner on those for protection and to make them look better under the hood. I'm going to remove the bed, clean this crap out, and paint between the cab and the bed. I've also removed the rear bumper, and I've removed the hitch, and I've taken out the latch and the hinge so that I can get in there and clean it up real good. And yes, I'm going to take the bumper off too. I just didn't feel like it yesterday. My hips were bad and they were really hurting. But when you see this truck, when it's finished, it'll look just like that fender, that hood, that fender, this pretty stuff right here. The whole truck will be red. Now, a lot of people think I'm stupid, and they said, "John, what are you doing? Why are you painting it with Rust Oleum paint?" Well, Rust Oleum paint is a good metal paint. It's not a great automotive paint, but it is a really good metal paint. And I have been using the brown metal, rusty metal primer, but I'm going to get away from that. As you can see under here, I painted that underneath there with bed liner as well. It had that foam thing you see right over there. That pad right there was underneath there, and it's just greasy and full of sand. I mean, literally so much sand it just poured out whenever I took it off. But there's a guy out there, he sells a program called RPJ Gold, which stands for Rustoleum Paint Job Gold, and he tells you it's a teach you course. And the truth of the matter is, he tries to tell you he's going to teach you to paint with Rustoleum paint. And I'm not a professional, as you can tell from this hood, at the orange peel and the dry spots and the bug spots. And if you fish eyes, I'm not a professional. I've painted a pickup truck probably 25 years ago. I painted my car last year, and that's it. And I've been working on this project for the past month. Oh, and I'm gonna tell you something, for a cripple man, it is an ass load of work. But this guy is selling his RPJ Gold plan online for $37 right now. Soon it will go back up to $92 or $97 or something like that, he says. And he said when you buy his program for $37, he'll give you 30-day free trial. If you're not happy, just let them know and they'll refund your money. Well, then he changes it to a 60-day guarantee to get you to buy. Once you buy it, then he tells you you've got 2 weeks to try and buy to get your money back. So he's a con artist in my opinion, because what he tells you is he sands and paints a John Deere riding mower. And y'all seen the videos of where I painted my Craftsman riding mower. Looks fine just by painting it. I could probably wet sand it and do a few other things to it if I wanted to, but it looks great the way it is. I mean, come on, it's a lawnmower. Nobody's going to pay me $1,500 for a 20-year-old lawnmower. Well, this guy is preaching all the other things that everybody else is doing in their videos, and he's saying don't roll your paint onto your vehicle because it looks like crap. And the truth is, it does look like crap. But if you put 2 coats on, give it 2 days, wet sand it, put 2 more coats on, wait a couple of days, and wet sand it, it looks pretty damn good if you polish it at that point. You just can't put a whole bunch on at one time, or your orange peel will be so hard you can't sand it out unless you sand it back down to metal. So, you know, I got a hold of this guy's plan, this RPJ Gold, and I watched his videos, and he keeps touting that he had to pay $18 a video or $252 to have it all transcribed. And he keeps promising and promising and promising people that they are going to get the transcriptions. I don't see it coming. I think it's just part of the scam. But his whole secret to everything, and what he does is he uses new metal primer, which is a pretty white primer. And speaking of which, I had gotten some spray cans of that, and I used it on my tailgate. I'm going to show you my tailgate. Anyway, he mixes this stuff up. He doesn't mix it water thin like everybody else is doing. He says he puts in about 10 to 15% thinner in the primer, and then he does the 3 count thing on it, where you stick your dipstick in there, and when it stops running and starts dripping, it should be like 1, 2, 3 with the drips. That's what he says. Okay. And this is my tailgate. And you remember it had the banner on it and the stickers on it and everything else, and the bird poop. But and the bugs. I don't know what the hell the bugs are coming on. Anyway, this has that new metal primer on it, And I think it looks pretty damn good. I sanded it down to bare metal all the way and primed it, and I think it looks just awesome to me. And no, I did not fix all the dents. You can probably see them right there. I'm not too concerned about that. Come on, guys. It's a 1989 truck. But let me get back to this guy. This is my lawnmower I was telling you about. My John Deere paint job, as he put it. This is my tractor that I got for free. I bought a new front end for it. Sanded it down the metal. There's a dent right there. And I got to get some nuts to go hold this on. Keeps coming off. Dirty right now because I cut grass the other day. But I mean, that looks pretty good. It's nice and smooth and even. You know, I couldn't get $1,500 for it like he's talking about getting for his tractor. But it is a John Deere, so. Anyway, back to what I was saying. He's selling this plan for anywhere from $37 to $90 something. And it consists of 14 videos about painting a lawnmower and 7 videos about painting a bike, a motorcycle, a dirt bike with rattle cans. And all he does is he basically sands and paints a couple of fenders with rattle cans, and then uses bed liner paint to paint the back fenders and the sides of the seat. And then he puts the bike all back together and everything. I mean, you know, it looks better than it did. The paint's not all faded and shit, but it's not worth what he's asking for. Then he says, oh, that's a free bonus. His instructions tell you blah blah blah, how to mix this, how to mix that. In the bike videos, he ain't done none of that. So you get into the lawnmower and he tells you how to grind the paint down to the metal with a grinder or a sander. Everybody knows how to do that. You know, you get some body filler and you fill in all the dents and the crappy metal spots like my roof right there that's going to need some Bondo on it to fill the pits in it. And he sands it down smooth. Then he lays on a couple of coats of this new metal primer. It's pretty white primer. And he mixes it, instead of mixing it 50-50 like everybody else is doing it when they roll it on, he mixes it probably 85 to 90 to 10 to 15 with paint thinner. And he uses, as he puts it, he puts his gauge on his gun and he says you hold the trigger halfway so just air comes out, and you set your gauge to 26 psi coming out the gun, because it's a high volume low pressure gun, which I have. And he's using a 1.6 tip, I'm using a 1.4 tip, so I shouldn't have a problem. And he lays on the primer, waits 15 minutes, lays on another coat of primer. Common sense will tell you to do that. Then he lets it dry. Then he has a couple of spots he needs to fix, so he puts a little putty in there, lets it dry, sands it, hits it with some other primer. I think it's self-etching primer or filler primer. I think it's Rust Oleum filler primer is what it is. And then he sands it all. He wet sands the whole body of the lawnmower, the hood and the body of the lawnmower. And I think he said he did 1,500. Well, I think 1,500 is too fine to lay paint on. I think you should be sanding it with 400. Then he lays hunter green because he couldn't find John Deere green, so he lays 2 coats of hunter green on the mower in the same fashion. He puts the first coat on, lets it dry for 15 minutes, then he slaps the second coat on. And then after he does that, he lets that dry, and it looks pretty good, about as good as my mower. Then he tapes off some flames onto the mower and paints those with yellow, like the rims on a John Deere are yellow. And then he removes the tape, and then he goes into, and he mixes the paint, by the way. He tells you the same thing about mixing the paint is about anywhere from 15 to 20% paint thinner, and you put it on the same way with the 3 count. You pick your stick up when it stops running off the end of, it starts running off the end of the stick. It's like trickling, then it'll stop and start dripping, and it'll say it should go 1 2 3. I mean, come on, that's the drip test. Everybody does that with a stick. He ain't telling nobody nothing new. Most people who don't know what the hell they're doing, they want percentages. So I'd say on the thinner, on the primer, he did about 15%, and on the paint he did about 20% thinner. Okay. Then after he got through with the flames, he lets on to his ultimate secret. His ultimate secret is Automotive Clear Coat. And I didn't hear him talking about the acrylic clear coat that Rustoleum has for automotive use. He was talking about using polyurethane or urethane, which is more flexible and more durable. Acrylic's pretty good too. That's what I have on that fender over there, the one that looks really pretty shiny. And he says that, as he put it, Rustoleum clear coat won't hold up to gas. So what does he do? He does a little test for you, and he pours lacquer thinner over the Rustoleum clear coat and lacquer thinner over the Automotive Clear Coat. Now if you leave that on there long enough, it's going to take it off. I don't give a damn what you got on there. Well, when he gets done with the Rustoleum, because he's going to spray it over with there's a bird behind me. He's going to spray it over with bed liner anyway. He takes a rag and wipes it off, and the clear coat comes off. Well, it's the rattle can. It's not the Automotive that I have on that there. That's actually Automotive Clear Coat on there. It's acrylic Automotive Clear Coat. He doesn't use that. He uses the rattle can, which I've wiped the rattle can with alcohol and the shit comes off. Okay, so I'm not going to defend that stuff at all. He pours it all over the Automotive Clear Coat, and the Automotive Clear Coat, all it does is kind of fog it a little bit, and he polishes it right out. No big deal. Starting to rain. But to make long story short, he badmouths everything else about Rustoleum and says, yes, you can use Rustoleum, but you should put Automotive Finish Clear Coat over it, preferably polyurethane or urethane. And I have urethane acrylic paint on my car, so that's a double right there for me. So I don't see any problem with using Rustoleum Clear Coat, the acrylic kind in the can, if you're going to spray it on in a gun, not spray can. But the secret to all this stuff is when you put the 2 coats of primer on there, wait 2 or 3 days, wet sand it, then put 2 coats of paint on it, wait 2 or 3 days, preferably a week, to let it off gas, then spray your clear coat over it. That's the secret to it. He used Automotive Polyurethane Clear Coat, and he's charging people $37 to $90-something, $92 I think, for his course, and he hasn't even got it completed yet. So don't go out there and buy this guy's plan, his course, because it ain't nothing but him doing YouTube videos and not posting them to YouTube. I downloaded them. I ought to post them for free for everybody to see, but I might get in trouble, so we won't do that. If you private message me, I may send them to you I'll upload them to my Dropbox and send you a link, and you can watch them if you want. But like I said, there's dozens of videos out there about how to spray cars, and if you can do that, just follow the instructions that I said. Wait a week before you clear coat it. And he goes into color sanding and buffing. He doesn't even do the whole lawnmower. He just like had a run on the side of the hood, the bonnet that goes over the motor, and he wet sanded that out and then buffed it. He didn't do the whole thing. So to me, that's just slack. But you know, that's me. And I don't know if you can see right there. See the dent in the hood right there? I'm not too worried about it, as long as it ain't no gigantic dent. I had a chip in it right here, and that turned out really good. But right here was a fisheye. I don't know if you can see that. And I was just blowing it with the gun, and I accidentally hit the trigger, and psst, heavy. So I got to wet sand that out. A few other spots. I'm gonna wet sand the whole thing to get rid of that orange peel. I can't see in the viewer, but there's plenty of orange peel. But I'll wet sand it out. You can see where I did a fix right there before I primed it. I didn't see it when I primed it, but damn if you can't see it when you paint it. But I'll make another video later. And down there where you see the rusty frame, it's raining, but I'm gonna zip out here real quick. I'm gonna get my camera too wet. I'm doing this to the frame. This is rubberized undercoating, and I'm just going to coat the whole thing with that rubberized undercoating. It's only like $3 a can at Walmart for the Rustoleum brand undercoating. But that's what's going on here in this small town in South Carolina. Advanced Auto in my backyard. Oh, by the way, I added the pool. Just got it last week. Debbie wasn't having it no other way. She had to have a pool. Alright, you guys have a great day. Okay, just to show you what I'm talking about with the dirt bike. This guy takes this dirt bike here with the faded red paint. It looks yellow, but it's actually faded red. And something on my screen. The seat part right here is red. The rest of the bike was that color at one time. And then what he does is, these are the 7 bike videos. He turns it into not too far. He turns it into this. He painted this with Rustoleum, this with Rustoleum. He hit this with bed liner, and this with bed liner, and that with bed liner. That's all he did. And he did it with rattle cans. There's no clear coat. And he wet sanded it before he painted this stuff. And yes, it looks nice. But he didn't do anything after he painted it. And then I'm sure you've seen the videos for the riding mower. If you've been out looking for
so now what I'm
Rustoleum
doing
paint
is using
job.
some 15.
This is what I was talking about. He had some sags in the paint right there, and he just wet sanded it. He's actually dry sanding it here with 1500 sandpaper, he says, with a DA sander, which is actually not even a DA sander. It's just a regular sander because it don't oscillate. It's not dual action. And then he buffs it to make it shiny. And here he's telling you what products to use. You can use anything you want as far as compounding goes, and swirl mark remover. And the one thing I did learn was to use a wool pad to compound, not just to polish. and use a foam pad to polish. And this is the paint job he got. He used Automotive Finish over Rust Oleum paint. That's all he did. And he charged the guy $1,500 for this lawnmower. And he did put some metal flake, you know, stuff in it. But the guy's an auto body guy. So he had all this stuff laying around. So he, you know, if you want to paint something and you have to buy Automotive Finish to go over it, you're talking about $100 to buy a gallon of it, or $65 to buy a quart of it, you know. So you be the judge. What you gonna do? Rattle can it for a lawnmower? But yeah, it's a $50 paint job to do a Rust Oleum paint job. But you know, one point he makes is that Rust Oleum will scratch easy. If you noticed on the fender I showed you outside, after I cleared it, you can see a scratch up at the top. Barely touched that thing, scratched it. That was before I clear coated it with the acrylic. But he has a video on YouTube. Oh, my battery went dead. But anyway, to top it off, if you want to follow his program, that's all you do. You just lay the paint on with a spray gun. Give it a couple of days to dry between the primer, the paint, and the clear. And make sure you don't over thin it, and apply it with an HVLP gun and about 20 to 26 pounds of pressure on your gun. That's what he said. And that's holding the trigger. That's not constant pressure. So that's how much you want coming out your gun. And yeah, basically hit it with Automotive Clear Coat.